engaging. But if I fail to make it engaging, it falls on you to make it engaging, to be engaged. All right, so let's go into share, and we share screen and sound. Something to give you for I'm thinking about and I'm studying right now is the life of Saint Patrick. So please look into that. I did it with the fellowship, so you're not from the fellowship. Just look into this. Do you wanna grab this somewhere on YouTube? Might be a drama or might be something that it's really nice to look into. I would recommend it just for you as a side reading before the Holy Week. Now, go to not this one. Send. Huh? See where it is because I keep putting it somewhere. I don't know where it is now. Here, might be here. No. Hmm? The movie? The movie is EWC. Yeah. I think need to get the last one. So we did this. Last time we finished here, the introduction. Let me give you some quizzes quickly. Quizzes. How many Herods in the family of King Herod the Great? Okay, Anthony, raise your hand first. 5. Name them. I'm going to ask you how much is the population of China? Give a number. Huh? Huh? Antipas. Archelaus, right? Okay, so how many? 5. Good job. You're right. So, but who are the ones that we care about because they are in the gospel? They can say Agrippa instead of Herod Agrippa by calling him by the last name, or Antipas instead of Herod Antipas, or Archelaus instead of Herod Archelaus. Who are the ones that we care about that would be pertinent to the story and who they are? Herod, yes? Huh? Who is Herod the Great? Give me some information about it. After he died, and his son took over Antipas, I think. No, Kiki was Herod the Great. What else he did? Important things. He tried to win over the Jews. By doing what? Build a temple. Build the third temple, right? The first temple is Solomon. Second temple is Zerubbabel. And the third temple is Herod. Okay? What else he did? He married into Maccabees. The daughter of the Maccabees, her name was Mariamne. We talked about it in the Old Testament. And that's how he became a king. What did happen to Mariamne? What did happen to Mariamne? Anybody saw this one? This one, did you see this one?
Take the next step in treating your moderate to severe ulcerative colitis
Just want
with
to show you what
Entyvio,
Herod,
the only gut-focused
the great
treatment
done
for
to
you.
his wife. Mariam. There's me. I did not shave. It's not shaving? Huh? All right, let me just go to a place where
you look troubled.
who is doing the King Herod?
What ails you,
That's
my queen?
Herod and Mariamne.
You don't remember who I am?
Yes, I remember who you are. You helped me build the many glories of this kingdom. You gave me many beautiful Hasmonean children.
Hasmonean
You'll
children.
always have my heart, Mariamne.
You always have my heart, Mariamne. That's Herod. Look. Pay attention, he goes this. I
Let
want you
us
to
drink to our long, insufferable
I like this guy. You know this actor? So this is Herod and his wife, Mariamne, that he married her to become part of the Hasmonean family.
Of this
Yeah.
I've heard my husband.
Skipped.
There are those.
Okay. No, they cut it. So what happened here? He killed her. He got a dagger, stabbed her, and she died. Basically, they cut it. I'm not sure if it is here or some other place. Because she was in his way, for whatever reason. He killed her, and he killed his firstborn son too.
My lord.
Just because he's a tyrant. And when somebody doesn't like or stands in his way, he kills. So you think he's gonna be okay with Jesus being the king? No way. So this is how he's portrayed in the movie, and this is how he was in history. The next Herod is who is the next Herod that we will see when Jesus is 30 years old? Herod Antipas. What about Herod Antipas? Huh? Ruled Galilee, but what else he did? That's very important that we should know about him.
Yeah.
He, before that,
He's
infamous. What does that infamous mean? Famous for the wrong reasons. What was the reasons that he was infamous for? Why did he kill John the Baptist? No. No. He had his sister-in-law for a girlfriend. But the brother didn't mind because he also had a girlfriend. They wanted to get rid of his wife. It was a big, messy, devilish situation. Philip had an affair, and he had a wife he didn't really like very much. His brother came to visit him, got into a physical relationship with this wife of his brother, took her to his palace, and she lived with him as a concubine, which she was a queen. So she hated John the Baptist. Why? Why Herodia, that's her name, hated John the Baptist. Hated his guts. She wanted him dead. Very simple. Why? Of course. He would say to him, it's unlawful for you to take your brother's wife when he's still alive, even when he died. You cannot have her. And then King Herod was rebuked. He felt bad that this was actually the situation. But Herodia, no. She wanted John the Baptist dead. So what happened? One day the King Herod was, you would read this in Matthew. Should have read it. So I had a birthday. That's why birthdays are very nice. I love them. And he got drunk, and the people with him got drunk. And then came here the girl, the daughter of Herodia from Herod Archelaus, from Philip, that she came and danced. And apparently she danced a very bad dance, very bad, because they were drunk men. Imagine an uncle sees his niece dancing in a very bad way, and he gets excited and he gets very amused by it. Then he actually says, whatever you ask of me, I'll give it to you, even to half of my kingdom. The girl gets overwhelmed by the offer. She doesn't know what to say. She runs to her mom, right? What is the mom waiting for? This is what she's waiting for. Give me the head of John the Baptist on a plate. So what does the king do? Because he swore to her by God, whatever she asks, he will do. So he did it. That's Herod Antipas, right? What else about this Herod Antipas? The same thing. 3 years later, or 2 years later, 2.5 years later, Jesus stood in front of him. Pilate sent Jesus to him to see what he can do with this person, because he doesn't see him, guilty of anything to be deserving cross. He said, let me send him to Herod. And when Herod sees Jesus, what's he asking? Make a sign. Let me be entertained. And Jesus doesn't answer. Completely silent. So he dressed him in a purple robe, sent him back to Pilate, and then he mocks him. He just mocks Jesus. Which the next Herod? Number 3. Herod Agrippa first. What about this one? Do you see like each one of them except the last one has killed somebody? He wanted to please the Jews so much that what did he do? In the book of Acts, chapter, I'd say chapter 3. And let's go, maybe not 3. Let me just figure it out here. The 3 is the paralytic by the, so we'll say 8, 9, 8. Let's see what 8 would say. Was it what 6? I'm not sure. One of 4 kings. Tetra means 4. So they divide the kingdom among four people. Let me see what it is, because I want to know what it is. So it's later, actually. It's 12. 12. All right. Here. Read with me this. This is Herod Agrippa 1. Now, about that time, Herod the king stretched out his hand to harass some from the church. He killed James, the brother of John, with a sword. He cut his head. The second one, Herod Antipas, killed who? John the Baptist. This one is killing James and imprisoning Peter to kill him. This is where a big incident happened. Actually, an angel comes and releases Peter from the prison. All right, the Herod Agrippa is in Agrippa 2. Where you find that? It's in the very end of, almost toward the end of, I would say it's toward 27, where Herod Agrippa, before the voyage to Rome, so it's 26. St. Paul is going to have to face this one. Then Agrippa said to Paul, you are permitted to speak for yourself. That is Agrippa the second. The first killed James and imprisoned Peter, and he was celebrated by the Jews. They wanted to kind of butter him up big time. They said, this is a voice of God, not a man. He was talking about the king, and the king did not really stop them. When somebody's praising you too much, you have to stop them, because it takes the glory from God. So that's what he did. Don't get so excited about people praising you. Might not sit well with God. So that's what he enjoyed, this idea about he being a God, and he was hit. An angel hit him, and it seems like his guts came out of his belly when he was going to the bathroom and died. It was terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So this is Herod Agrippa I. Herod Agrippa II was the one to examine St. Paul before he goes to Rome. And he was almost convinced. He's almost convinced about what St. Paul is saying. Here, he's telling him the story. What did Agrippa say? So he's asking, then Agrippa said to Paul, you almost persuade me to become a Christian. And then he said to the council, stood up and said, Bernice is his sister, he and his sister. They said, this man, if is doing nothing deserving death or chains. And he said to Festus, this man might have been set free if he had not appealed to Caesar, because Paul wanted to go to Caesar. So those are the four kings, right? Another question quickly. Another question. Tell me about the different social and political groups, social, religious, or political groups in Israel at the time. Quickly. Give me one. Yes. The Sadducees, which is the group of priests. And what does this group is characterized by? Very wealthy, right? And what else? What else? What else they're characterized by? That's Anas. But they're wealthy, that's what we said. Wealthy and powerful. They are political group because they stand with the Romans and negotiate with them. But what about them? What is their belief? Their religion? Yes, Michael. They don't believe in resurrection. They don't believe in angels. They don't believe in spirit. Once you die, you die. Where did they get this from? The background, that's the tricky part. How did you have some Israelites? You're with me, everybody? How do we have some Israelites believing in no spirit? They believe in God. They believe in right and wrong, but they don't believe in spirits or angels or resurrection. Because they got so much. Huh? How? From the Greeks. They sided with the Greeks. When the Greeks came at the end of the story of the Old Testament, the Greeks came and took over Judea. Remember Antiochus Epiphanes, who called him Antiochus Epiphanes, who wanted to Hellenize the Jews, right? Who else? What's the other group? Sadducees. The other group. Pharisees. Can somebody give me this? Where do the Pharisees come from? The origin. They come from this group, the Hasideans. Their names mean the pious. They were part. They worked with the Maccabees in fighting against the Greek Hellenization, right? So that one group fought very aggressively against the Greek. The Sadducees, which are the priests, sided with the Greeks. So you got these poles, and this country was divided. You can think about it. Jesus is coming during the worst time ever in the history of Israel, where there are too many groups against each other. What about the other ones? So what about the Pharisees? The Hasidians means the pious. The Pharisees means the separated ones, consecrated. They are different. They are by themselves. Since they are fighting against the Greeks, they're very much into... No? Into the purity commandments, what we call them, the ceremonial law, keeping the Sabbath, purification. No, be careful that you don't touch any dead person or somebody who's bleeding or that stuff. So they were very aggressive when somebody broke the Sabbath. That's why they picked on Jesus. Remember in this Lent, they picked on him for healing the paralytic man by the pool. They picked on him for healing. We're going to be hearing tomorrow that he healed the man born blind on the Sabbath in those two cases. And they were very picky on that. So the Pharisees are, unlike the priests, they believe God could be worshipped anywhere. And so the domain of the Sadducees, what place is their domain? The priests. Where is the domain of the Sadducees? South Point Mall, right? What did you say? The temple, thank you. The temple. Where is the domain of the Pharisees? The synagogue, keep that in mind. The synagogues were like Protestant churches. They have no altar, no sacrifice, no priesthood. It's a gathering to read the Torah, explain it. And it made it flexible for the Jews to understand the word of God. But they were stuck on the ceremonial law. To them, the ceremonial law is the most important. More important than the commandments, which in the mind of Jesus, this is crazy. What God wanted us to follow is the commandments more than the ceremonial law. But the Pharisees, you're so busy doing something, I'm not sure what it is. What are they doing, Maria? Huh? We're still there? No. It's already in their nose. So they're helping you. That's so sweet. On my expense.
Have to go together to get better.
All right. So the Pharisees' domain was the synagogue. The Sadducees' domain was the temple. Now, let's go to the next one. Scribes and lawyers. What is the job of the scribe? I showed you a scribe last time. Yes. Scribe the Torah. And it's very tedious and very meticulous process. Very inspiring. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm inspired by their insistence on perfection. They cannot and they will not change anything. The way they write the letters is actually, the way they write it is being preserved over the last 2,000 years. Crazy, isn't it? How about the Essenes? They were monk-like, right? A community, and they were following the more on the moral side. They wanted the moral more than the Pharisees wanted. That's why the Essenes were picking on the hypocrisy in Jerusalem. They could not take it, that they actually are ignoring the commandments and sticking with. So their monk-like group, about 4,000 men who lived in the desert near this. So they're responsible for the writing of the Dead Sea Scrolls. They were written by the Essenes. How about the Zealots? They're not the Hasidians, not the Pharisees, not the Sadducees, and not the scribes and lawyers, and not the Essenes, the Zealots. Yes, they started, I'm going to have to write that down. They started by a person. His name was Judas the Galilean. You would hear about him in chapter 3 or 4 of Acts. Let me show you what is this chapter about. So it is written about it here. If you go to Act, I think it's going to be Act 4, where they consult Gamaliel. Gamaliel. Maybe it's third chapter. They did it twice. Where is Gamaliel? Maybe 4. I missed it. Okay. 5? Wow, I thought 5 was the Annas and Sapphira. No, you're right. Okay. Yeah, not all the time. They imprisoned the whole. Okay. Here, Gamaliel is saying this to the council, to the Sanhedrin. So then one in the council stood up, a Pharisee. He's a Pharisee named Gamaliel. Anybody knows anything about this Gamaliel? Important to link things together. Connect the dots. Of who did he teach? Thank you very much. That's a very important piece of knowledge. Gamaliel is an extremely important figure in the history of Jewish teaching. He's one of the most celebrated rabbis across history. So Gamaliel, a teacher of the law, held in respect by all the people and commanded them to put the apostles outside for a little while. And he was a balanced man. He's neutral. He's not angry without a cause. He said to them, "Men of Israel, take heed to yourselves that you intend to do regarding these men. For some time ago, Theudas," he's talking about very famous people, rose up claiming to be somebody. A number of men, about 400, joined him. He was slain, and all who obeyed him were scattered and came to nothing. After this, Judas of Galilee rose up in the days of the census, means the time Jesus was born, and drew many people after him. He also perished, and all who obeyed him were dispersed. This Judas of Galilee is the founder of the Zealots. Get this? So that the group that he started was a revolutionary group. What was their purpose? Exactly. Let's get rid of the occupation. We don't want the Romans. Like mean, like who? Saad Zaghlul. You know, who else? Ahmed Arabi. What else? Mustafa Kamil. ما كانش Mustafa Kamil. كان بتاع Mustafa Kamil is their own economical guy like who? Yeah, Abdel Nasser. الناس ولا معاك. So mostly like Saad Zaghlul and Arabi. Yeah. Anyway, so all right, we'll go back to our document. Okay. The Zealots, extreme political revolutionists who wanted to overthrow the Roman government using violence and assassinations. Simon was a zealot. I want to just say established or founded by their founder was Judas of Galilee. And this is going to be in, what is the, we're going to say it is Acts 5, right? So I'm going to do reference, insert footnote, Acts 5, what verse is it? 34? It's 37. Right? Are you with me? So these are they were the Zealots, 37. Okay, so next will be the Herodians, Jewish politicians who supported the Herodian kings and compromised with the Romans. Even though they usually hated the strict Pharisees, they teamed up with them to plot against Jesus. Herodians were people who are political group belonging to Herod, supporting the Herod and his family. Tax collectors, publicans. Jews who were hired by the Romans to collect taxes from their own people. By the way, one of the zealots is Simon or Simeon, one of Jesus' apostles, the 12. And then the tax collectors, Matthew was an apostle. Matthew, an apostle, was a tax collector. Imagine. So the zealots will be killing the Romans whenever they find them, and they will kill the tax collectors. Why? Why would they kill the tax collectors? Because they are helping the Romans. They take the money of the poor of Israel and send it to Rome, to Caesar, to do army with it and bring that army back to control Israel. So they hated them. They said they're traitors, and they would sell their own family to get money and to get power. And who is supporting the tax collectors? The Roman soldiers. If you don't pay taxes, the Roman soldier will come to your house and take you and put you in prison, basically. So how do you think the zealot would see a tax collector? Enemy. Needs to be eradicated. So imagine in Jesus' apostles, one of them is a tax collector and the other is a zealot. It's mind-blowing if you understand the atmosphere. Imagine that you find in the church an ex-radical Muslim, right? An ex-radical Muslim and a Christian who used to sell liquor. And they're sitting next to each other in the pews. What would you call that? I'm just imagining things like that. What would you say? Exactly. It's a miracle, right? That you get two extreme people that hate each other. At least the publican would be so scared and shaking when he sees a zealot. But the zealot hates the guts of this guy. Okay? Jesus' miracles. The Sanhedrin, it's the Jewish Supreme Court. It was made up of 71 judges who met in the temple. Why 71? They take it from the book of Exodus, where Moses was advised by his father-in-law Jethro to appoint judges to take care of businesses that doesn't need him to be intervening personally. So he picked 71 judges from the families, the heads of the families. They ruled on religious law and were the ones who condemned Jesus to death. Was made of three groups: the high priest and the leading priest of the temple, Sadducees; the Pharisees, like Nicodemus is one of them; and then the noble, rich Jewish men as Joseph of Arimathea. Did I do this? Arimathea. Okay. Galilee and Samaria. We're going to have to go back to this map. Just remember this map because you will hear about it, especially in Holy Week. You have all these colors, and the center of the focus is the three regions: Judea, where Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Bethany is. Let me just make it big. Jerusalem is the capital. Bethlehem is the town of David when he was born, and the town of Jesus where he was born. Bethany, next to Jerusalem, very close. Jericho, where he was going to meet Zacchaeus. And then you got Samaria, where he's going to meet the Samaritan woman, or he met the Samaritan woman here. And then Galilee, where he grew up in Cana and Nazareth, and the Sea of Galilee, Bethsaida, and Capernaum, where the disciples are from. Mount Tabor, where he was transfigured. These are all the main three sections of Israel. But then what? Then you have these places where you actually hear about them. Jesus going to Sidon. This is Lebanon. Or Phoenicia. Phoenicia is Lebanon. Syria is this tan-colored region. And then you have Iturea and Trachontis. One of the tetrarchs was Lord or king in there. And then we have Decapolis, the 10 cities. It's up here. And then you have Nabatea and Idumea. Very close countries next to each other. Okay. Nabatea, we saw, what did we see last time from Nabatea? Anybody remembers? That place that was carved in the rock. Petra, which is Jordan now. This is Jordan. And Jordan is closely connected to Idumea. Idumea doesn't exist anymore. All right, so we talked about the city, and remember I told you the upper city and the lower city, and the upper city is where the elite class is. The lower city is the not so rich people, and then you have the temple with the fortress, Antonia Fortress, on top of it, north of it. East is the Mountain of Olives, and in between the Mountain of Olives and the mountain where Jerusalem is, they call mountain, but it's hills, is the Valley of Kidron, where the brook of Kidron runs. This blue line is a brook. There is a road now that goes this way. If you stand on the Mountain of Olives, you can see the temple from on top. Now it is the Dome of the Rock. Gethsemane is at the foot of the Mountain of Olives. Bethany is right here somewhere. It's here. Bethany is here. And Bethphage, this is two cities on the other side, on the top of Mountain of Olives where Jesus ascended. On the other side is Golgotha, where the Church of the Resurrection is here. And the tomb of Joseph, he had made himself a new tomb. Pilate lived here. Herod lived here. And the upper room is here, where the high priest is here. It's again with the upper city, not the lower city. Okay. Now we went and we're going to go into the next part that we should take is the New Testament book. This is the circumstances where the New Testament, everything is that you need to know about it before you go into the book itself. Let's go into the book, see what we get. Document. Or if it's not the same, let's see. Yeah, where it is. Let me see. Might have it here. So, okay. Enmity. This one. All right, thank you. So I cut it short for you so that you don't have to go through all that stuff. But in the seminary, they will take that bigger document with all the details. And let's go to, do they have this? No? Okay. Let's go to the next chapter, which is Introduction to the New Testament itself as a book. I don't think I have it, no. Let me go to the chapters. I'm just gonna have to add them. I'm gonna have to add the chapters later. Okay. This is a quiz. Oh. I need some organization here. Go back up. Then we'll go into the chapters or the New Testament introduction one. I have it here. That's the big stuff. I'm just giving you 2 sentences about everything. Let's see if I can have the next chapters. All right. All right, here we go. The next chapter would be the introduction to the book itself. And the question we have is, what are the meanings of Testament and Gospel? What are the 3 sections of the New Testament? What are the canonical Gospels and what are their contents? What are the synoptic Gospels? Why are the 4 Gospels represented by 4 living creatures? Are there non-canonical Gospels? Why they are not part of the Bible? What are the historical and geographical setting of the New Testament? We took that already, so it's out. And how to draw a map. This is one thing I want you to learn. I'm going to test you on this. How to draw a map of Israel and Jerusalem is one of the big highlights of the study, so that you actually can be a mapography. How to draw a map of the first century Palestine. What are the main measures and coins used? And we did that already. Meaning of Testament and Gospel. Anybody knows? Give it a guess. What does Testament mean? A statement, you're right. So it's usually coming from the living will. Somebody writing their living will. What do you call it? A test in Latin, testamentum. Comes closer to testimony, witness. A revelation of somebody's intent. So the testament means the revelation of God's intent for us. You can use it interchangeably with the gospel. You can use testament, I'm sorry, covenant with gospel, with the covenant. What about the gospel? It's an English word, which means God spell. That's old English. God spell. What's that? God's words. In Greek, evangelion. Evangelion means good news. And the good news is summarized in this one verse that everybody's familiar with, John 3:16. For so God loved the world that he sent his only son to save whoever believes in him. That is the good news. The first used the word gospel is Justin Martyr in the 2nd century. In his writing from the 2nd century writers in general attributed the four gospels to Saints Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Two characters why the church picked those gospels and nothing else. Anyone knows the two characters? Are we still hand holding Anna? Right, so what are the two characters? Anybody? Why would these gospels be the ones to be put in the Bible, not the other gospel? Like, how about the Gospel of Thomas, or Gospel of Mary Magdalene, or Gospel of Peter, or Barnabas? There's tons of other gospels. Why those four? The others claim to be witnesses. Who decided that these gospels will be the ones to put in, and why?
These were the ones that were used because it was just common.
That's one of the reasons. You understand her reasoning? That the churches, before they were written down, they were circulated orally even. Every church you go to, they have those four gospels. So everybody agreed on those gospels. There was not an angel coming from heaven and say, guys, these are the gospels you should use. Don't use the other gospels. None of it. The churches had already used those four gospels in their liturgical service. Every time you come to the church, you would hear one of the passages of the gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The first to use the word gospel is Justin Martyr. We said in the 2nd century, he died 151. The church received these documents as true and authoritative. The other thing, what is the second reason? So first, they're widely circulated in the church. Widely circulated. And what is the second one? They have a unified theology about who Jesus is. They didn't really say something very strange. Like, for example, in the Gospel of Barnabas, there's all kinds of strange things. Likewise, the Gospel of Thomas. There's things about Jesus did miracles when he was young. The Gospel didn't say that. Actually, there's hints in the Gospel that Jesus did not do anything when he was young. He was just living like everybody else. They were translated to different languages depending on where the church is. How many books are in the New Testament? Let's go and write that down because I want you to remember that. When you say, how many books we have in the New Testament? This is like very important essential trivia. So we start by 4 Gospels, right? And then 1 book of Acts. How many chapters? How many books of Pauline? How many? 14 if you count Hebrews. And then Catholic? Catholicon, 7. And then after the Catholicon, we have 1 book of, what's the count? 4 plus 1 is 5, and 4 is 9, 16. No. 4, okay. How many? 4 and 1, 5, 9, 16, 7, 17. 1 plus 1, the 27. That's the total count. Give me the Pauline letters. So this is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. How about those ones? Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, First and Second Thessalonians. First and Second Timothy. Titus. Philemon. And the question mark Hebrews. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. How about the Catholic one? You start with?
Why is the blue better?
Okay. And I don't think it's good, but that's right. Yeah, go ahead. James,
First, Second Peter.
first. Oh, it's actually good. That's a new one. First. Peter. Keep it here. Okay.
First, Second, Third John.
Let's read letters of John
And Jude.
and then Jude. You want to remember them? You want to memorize them? I think you should. Whether you want or not. My question is irrelevant. You don't have to memorize it because I'm going to test you on the memory of it. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians. See, there's 3 sets of twos. Corinthians, Thessalonians, and Timothy. Thessalonians and Timothy come together, right? Just to remember them, how you remind yourself. So we start with Romans. Romans is his gospel. The gospel of Luke, of Paul. We're going to talk about this specifically. Where St. Paul preaches about Jesus, it's Romans. Then 1st and 2nd Corinthians, then 4. Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, and Colossians. Okay? Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, those are the ones that you need to keep in memory. Then you have the 2 Thessalonians and the 2 Timothy, then another 3, Titus, Philemon, Hebrew. Easy to remember? Just map it this way, right? Let's map it again. You have 3 sets of twos, the Corinthians, Thessalonians, and Timothy. Between the Corinthians and the Thessalonians, you have 4. Those are the ones that you need to memorize. Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. And then the 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus. You can say Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews. Can someone say it without looking?
I think Valera.
You throw Valera under the bus. Go ahead, Valera. You're under the bus. Survive. Survive, Valera. Your best friend, out of love, volunteered you.
Song, this kind.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and Micah.
Go ahead.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
No, Miss Kind, she taught us a song, do you remember?
Hmm.
Wait, actually, were you there? You were not in her Bible class. She taught us it. She just taught us a.
No, that's not here yet.
No.
Come on now, we're wasting time. Who's gonna volunteer?
Since Anna volunteered. No, I only know it.
Just say it without the song. Say it in any shape, form you want. Say it with your head down and feet up. It's fine with me. Just say it. Go ahead.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians. I don't remember. Yes,
Yeah, go ahead, continue.
Galatians, Ephesians, Colossians,
Philippians. Philippians.
Luke, John, Acts. Then, again, First, Second Thessalonians, First Timothy, Second Timothy, Titus, St. Paul, Hebrews, James, 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, Jude, and Revelation. Wait,
Hey,
we did it.
Good job. Anyone from this side? Anyone else? Anthony, go ahead.
That's fine, that's nice.
Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, and
Colossians.
First, Second Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, Titus, Philemon, and then Jude, or Hebrews, and then
James.
1st, 2nd Peter, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, then Jude, and then Revelation.
Excellent. Good job. Easy. Not very difficult, right? Okay. Try. I want you all to memorize it by heart. This is at least I can do that in the Catholic Church. when a priest is about to be ordained, they first ordain him a deacon, and he would have to go for a sub-diaconate test, and it would take him 1 year of study. And one of the things they do is memorize the New Testament. You understand me? Not the names. Memorize the whole New Testament, verse by verse. And they will be tested on it. And then they go back again after. So they get 1 year for sub-diaconate and 4 years for priesthood. They will memorize that, and then the canon law of the church, and big chunks of Thomas Aquinas. All right, so here is the church recognized 4 gospel accounts. So prophetic book of Revelation. So the 3 parts are narrative or history books, the Gospels and the Acts. Letters are the Pauline and the Catholic epistles. I separated the letter to the Hebrews here because if we don't know to the Hebrew. And then the prophetic book is Revelation. Recognize 4 gospel accounts. This is an image from the 10th century, the first millennium. It's a cover for the Catameras, for the Gospels. You have a man, you have a lion, you have an oxen, you have an eagle. And the horse that is the victorious, the one that went out victorious. Or the lamb, maybe. Maybe this is the lamb. The lamb. It's not written. It's not done well. Huh? Yeah. All right. So the church recognizes 4 gospel accounts: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They talk about the first coming. What time is it now? I think I lost them. I lost them. We should get done now? Okay. I was thinking to finish this. We're not going to be finishing in 16 weeks. I'm going to have to cut down a lot. All right. Okay. All right. What time is it now?
10. Yes. Oh, I get it. I posted, but the quiz is posted. We saw. You saw? Oh, okay, good. Good job. I gave you guys an extra week, so you don't have to do it during Holy Week.
Let me do this now. And then I'll do it now.
Very well.
Huh?
You guys said it. I didn't say anything.
That you're supposed to say. No, oh, so you're welcome, so you're welcome, thank you.
Yeah, you're supposed to say thank you.
Okay. I thought you say this, there we go. Excuse you? We say Stop it. Bro. Stop, I had to,
What?
See it. Wait, you're telling
Who did the loser sign here?
Wow, Bob.
What was that? Why did we do that?
I can't insult.
Oh, sorry, I should have done this. Or you could go like this. That he's up?
Where's that?
No, it's a horror. Oh, I don't, oh, yeah, no, that's fine, right?
That's around the end of the
All right, so I'm gonna send this.
Wait, how many? Let's give it back. I had the green one.
Well, guys, this was like a couple of months back, isn't it?
I thought this Jesus is never old.
Amen, no, okay.
Wait, you guys don't have a sibling like you know.
Here's where it's from.
Jesus.
Yeah. Then why do you have a statue?
This is not a statue. Abuna, do you like my mini Jesus?
No.
He says Jesus loves you.
Don't mind.
When you start talking, Anna, in middle of my talk, I don't like anything you do. That's okay.
Vice versa. You and Valeria.
Yes. No.
So
He's singing all the books
before
in the
that,
Bible.
it was like before that. So we were practicing stuff. Why do you have that? This year?
I don't think I think this is the same in schools. They do that in schools. They let you talk while they're talking.
She was in 8th grade and I was in 7th grade. She did 1 year more than.
I don't see your name in the things. In my classes.
Cause I remember
Can you show them?
we would sit in church and Abuna would yell at us, me and Boy. There was 3 servants.
Oh.
So I was there.
So that gives evidence. I'm sorry, show me the Google Classrooms in your classroom. Wait, Maria, you should have them in your classroom.
I have to delete, like, I have to delete so much stuff on my phone, so I have no.
Oh, documentation.
Abuna remembers when I was in pre-service, when I was like, in like
I
7th
know,
grade.
but Abuna also said it doesn't count until you're in high school,
That's true.
so.
You should be knowing a lot now.
Dude, I just dated all the books of the Bible.
Good job, but not from here. All right.
Wait a second, because she started
That he's 4 years, she started,
8th grade, so that's 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade.
and her 8th grade didn't count, she's a senior now, so that makes sense, 3
So
years.
next year I'll be done.
If we don't take a summer break, and if we finish this quickly, we can finish
I'll be
after.
out taking the summer break.
Okay, exactly, why are we not taking a summer break, I like, not up to me,
Wait, so are we or not?
I don't think we are.
How are we doing that?
Wait, we don't have pre-service next break.
No pre-service next week.
But I need something to be completely understood. Once you finish this course, you're going to into an internship. And that includes attending servants meeting on Sunday. You're gonna be going to classes and attending, so you're not gonna attend, let's just make a deal from now. You're not serving. If you don't have